To the papers now.
Well, the Daily Graphic says public sector salaries up 23%. And there's a picture of Kwesi Kwenim-Bosompim, who's the controller and accountant general. Ghana Post reaches out to customers. We'll find out why a little later. Now, President Akufo-Addo is pushing for an Africa-wide mobile interoperability. Pharmacy Council declares war on unlicensed practitioners, and GIDA rolls out major irrigation interventions for 2024. Afram plans others to create over 45,000 jobs. And on a sporting note, Asante Kotoko win J.A. Kufuor Cup. They beat in Suatreman by 2-1. That's on the back page of the Daily Graphic.
If you go to the Ghanaian Times, the Ghana.gov revenue platforms, government bags 210 million cedis as revenue since introduction in 2020. This is from Esla Owusu Ekufo yesterday's Meet the Press series. Government releases 150 million cedis to contractors for road maintenance.
The road sector.
So if our former minister is the minister, what will our new minister be?
I will find something for him very soon.
Originator. Now, mobile money vendor, one other killed in robbery attack at Wale Wale. That's on page 3. And Nedco probes 3,000 illegal meters in Sunyai to crack down on perpetrators.
All right, the Daily Guide is also here, and it says Nana calls for single mobile platform. That's at the AU Summit. Bernard, you mentioned mobile money. Well, 2 arrested over Momo vendors' murder. That's on page 3 of the Daily Guide. Ghana Post to distribute 1 million chocolates on page 6 of the Daily Guide. And Baumia unveils campaign team today. Plus, Fifi Kwete under fire.
If you go to the Chronicle, Mohammed's 24-hour economy is a hoax. Don't fall for it. This is Jinapo. Also, police smoke out Momo vendor killers at Wale Wale with a photo of IGP Dampari directing one of the night patrols from the police control room. There's also a feature, the legacy of KON at the Information Ministry. And then John Kuma says Ghana's future secured with MPP and Dr. Baumia.
The Republic Press says Nana replies critics over reshuffle. Okay, and another stories. Wayome Mada GLC threatens legal battle as he rejects bribery allegations. To politics, Cheddar bounces NDC. That's on page 3. And then Mahama denies Social Democratic Forum. Alban Baldwin says new 2024 standing orders to address Ghana's dynamic hybrid parliamentary democracy. And former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta thanks MOF staff.
The new finder leads with Akufo-Addo in Addis Ababa. Adopt Africa-wide mobile interoperability. Akufo-Addo rallies African heads of state. Stories on page 2. Also, this 150 million CD for road maintenance. I think we have to send application for potholes. I have some 4 potholes that I have earmarked.
Deadly potholes.
So please let us know your potholes so we forward to Asensu Boachi. Because 150 million, there's a lot.
It's a big one.
Prosperity, peace, and security inseparable. Chief of Staff is on page 5. Meanwhile, Senior Jose advocates clear strategic policy framework for maritime governance in Africa. All those in the finder.
All right, the Herald says Ghana's $12 million blown on a Japan royalties deal traced to ... and there are some pictures here of some personalities involved. Obuasi MP confirms rejecting injury time ministerial job. An Attorney General runs from lawyers' disbarment, leaves doubt over General Legal Counsel's fairness.
All right, moving to the publisher, Jinapo crisis NDC over 24-hour economy. Your doom so killed even daytime businesses, he says. Also, virgin blood for church rituals. Royal House speaks out. And then Ghana joins ECOWAS free roaming initiative. Meanwhile, Dr. Nyako says jail term over LGBT is wrong.
All right, the Inquisitor newspaper says dangerous times, drugs and guns on the streets. And it's a feature they've put together. SML is suing the Fourth Estate and Manasseh Awuni. That's according to the Inquisitor. Damongo MPP acclaims Abu Man of Action Jinapo. And upon Fosu faults MPP leadership for economic mess.
The publisher says Freema charges the Defense College equips students to sustain Ghana's peace. Meanwhile, Mahama is a disgrace to Northerners, not Baumia. Akomia replies Fifi Kwete. War of words between the two parties as the campaign period begins to set in motion. Other stories. Savannah region will be a true battleground for 2024. Abu Jinapo says this on page 2. And then this feature is also here. The transformative legacy of Opon Kroma is on page 8 of the Ghanaian publisher.
All right, the Daily Analyst says Mahama NDC have no links with Alan. Mahama campaign clarifies. Akufo-Addo is telling AU leaders 30% of Africa's sovereign reserves should be invested locally. And the GJA has done a U-turn on the media blackout on Howard Kumsin. Of course, the arrest of some gentlemen in connection with the Momo vendor
Are you sure
murder.
they're gentlemen?
Well, is here. Plus, Ken Oforiatta is thanking his former colleagues at the Ministry
The
of Finance.
informer, EC must lift veil over party finances, GII yells. Also, tread cautiously after marking racist red flag on LGBT bill. Education funding gap must be closed, Akufo-Addo says this. And GJ How Akumsin smoke peace pipe, also on the front page of the informer.
All right, the Anchor newspaper is before me. They have some of the other stories. So their unique story says Alan caught in secret funding accusation to reduce MPP votes in Ashanti. And another tidal surge displaces hundreds at Keta, and Ghana's largest cashew farm destroyed by fire.
All right. The Economy Times says banks' loan growth decreases by 54.9% and also prioritize cheaper funds for private sector to stimulate economy. Government advice. This is from our event last week. And public expectations of new Minister of Finance low. Story by Adnan Mohammed.
All right, finally from me, the BNFT says value of secured loans sees sharp decline of 54.9% in 2023 Q4. SNIT is targeting 2,000 informal workers in Northern Region in 2024, and inflation reverse casts doubts on near-term rate cuts. That's on page 2 of the BNFT.
Let me give you a quick flavor of the online portal. CitiNewsroom.com. Baumia to announce campaign team today. Save Ghana football demo to hit Kumasi on February 23. AG must force Woyome to pay outstanding debt owed the state. Babu is speaking. And then support smart, humble Amin Adam to succeed. Oforiatta tells Finance Ministry staff. And then Dan Botre to be named as Baumia's campaign manager today.
All right.
My Joy Online. NDC couldn't run a 12-hour economy. How will they do a 24-hour economy? Abu Jinapo is quizzing, and Oforiatta thanks MOF staff for success they achieved together. Let's sustain the prevailing peace in Ghana. NCC chairperson sacked Twitter staff in Ghana finally gets pay off.
Alawa.
Amin Adam was with us during most difficult times. Support him, Oforiatta tells MOF staff. If you go to Class FM, there is no collabo between Alan and MPP or NDC movement of change is speaking. Idris Elba, BOG governor, discussed collaboration to support Ghana's creative arts. And then the story of the mobile money fraudsters who have been busted is also here. I didn't make history. Sunyani East did so. Mayor Tremor speaks here. Let's go to the BBC quickly. Russia presses its advantage on vulnerable Ukraine. Europe is nervous about a potential Trump win. China sees an opportunity. And then finally on the BBC, that was CNN. Now on to the BBC. Israel sets deadline for ground offensive in Rafah. Without painkillers, we leave patients to scream for hours. That's a feature from the middle.
Well,
to the details.
The Ghanaian Times is rather light today, but it has some very good stories. I don't know, maybe the Ghanaian Times index should be published as well.
The state of the economy here.
It's very, very light. But government releases 150 million CDs for road. It's on almost all papers, but I'll do the Ghanaian Times version. And it has a photo of the incoming minister, Mr. Sensu Boachi. Story says the government has made available 150 million CDs to contractors to undertake road maintenance across the country. The government has released the amount for the engagement and payment to road contractors undertaking pothole patching across the country. The Minister of Roads and Highways said in a statement issued in Accra last Friday and copied to the media. The statement was signed by Oman Nasir Ahmed Yate, head of Public Relations Unit, Ministry of Roads and Highways, said the money formed part of the first quarter release from the Ministry of Finance to the ministry towards the project. It said the intervention was to enable the Ghana Highway Authority and the Road Department of Urban Roads to take advantage of the dry season to undertake routine pothole patching on some major roads which are deteriorated due to heavy rains last year. Now, they didn't mention the list of roads. So
we would get that detail, but I can confirm I've seen some patches here and there, even within Adabaka's corridors. I've seen some work done on the Buzia Highway.
They should have asked us to send applications.
For the deepest and deadliest potholes.
So that we will know where
because some places need a lot of work.
And we also don't know if this will be released nationally or if it is in phases, but it's a story we'll follow up on this morning.
All right, if you go to the front page of the Daily Graphic, the government has adjusted the salary of public sector workers by 23%.
23%.
This follows the conclusion of negotiations on the 2024 base pay. Now, payment of the 23% adjustment took place from January 1 this year, and Kwesi Kwenim Bosompem, who's the Controller and Accountant General, confirmed this to the Daily Graphic. He said the approval had already been given by the government for the payment of the 23% adjustment. He said the government had been very committed to the emoluments of public sector workers and that salaries had been paid not only in the right amount but on dates published for payments of those said salaries.
Interesting one there.
So the story is also on page
Meanwhile,
3
government
of
has
the
also
Punch.
backed 210 million. So public sector workers getting 23% salary increase.
Government
Ghanaian
is
Times
bagging-
page 9,
yeah.
the Ghana.gov revenue platform says or has helped us receive 210 million cedis as government revenue since it was introduced in 2020. Minister for Communication and Digitalization, Mrs. Esla Kufu, has disclosed. She said the substantial amount collected through the platform underscored the platform's pivotal role in streamlining financial transactions, enhancing transparency, and bolstering the nation's fiscal integrity. Now, she said this when she took a turn at the Sunday edition of the bi-weekly ministers' briefing organized by Ministry of Information in Accra. She explained that the success of the platform also underscored the growing trust and confidence of citizens and businesses in digital government platforms, adding that it reflects a paradigm shift towards digital-first governance, where convenience, accessibility, and accountability are prioritized in service delivery.
But staying on digital, President Akufo-Addo is advocating for the adoption of Africa-wide mobile interoperability, and President Akufo-Addo has rallied fellow African presidents to support the implementation of an African-wide mobile telephony interoperability system. He emphasized that this would allow millions of Africans to buy and sell goods and services across borders in their local currencies. Achieving this, he said, would be a major boost to Africa's efforts towards building the world's largest single market through the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Now, there's some money to be made when we do this. 5 billion annual transactions transfer cost. According to Afri-Exim Bank, trades done through correspondent banks and money transfer systems cost Africans about $5 billion in charges every year.
Wow.
Now, 42 different currencies in Africa. The continent has 42 different currencies, few of which have value outside their borders.
True.
And $832 billion Momo transactions in Africa. According to the president speaking here, this 832 billion figure in 2022 is estimated to have grown further by at least 30% last year.
Wow.
So if we adopt an African-wide mobile interoperability, we are likely to benefit reap the benefits as a single market and all of that.
Page 3 of the Daily Guide. 2 arrested over Momo vendor's murder. Now, the story says the police have arrested 2 persons in connection with the robbery and murder of a mobile money vendor at Wale Wale in the Northeast region. A statement signed by Assistant Commissioner of Police Grace Ansar Kofi, Director of Public Affairs, said the police service, through an intelligence-led operation on February 17, arrested the 2 suspects at their hideout. The 2 suspects, Zakaria Yamusa alias Van Dam and Fatah Issa, according to initial police reports, shot and killed 2 people, including a Momo vendor, and further caused injuries to 7 others. Now, I'm tying this to a story on page 4
Drugs
of the
and
Inquisitor. It
guns on
says
the
drugs and guns on the streets. Now, the story says a new order is emerging on the streets of the major cities of the country with the huge presence of guns and illicit drugs. Hitherto, the low-income people were into marijuana or weed, and the high class were into cocaine and heroin. But the trend has changed with time, with drugs such as ecstasy, lysergic acid diethylamide, LSD, speed, molly, and methamphetamine are being sold in Ghana in large quantities. Now, another deadly drug that's becoming common in Ghana is an inhalant called magic mushroom, which is becoming a favorite of young people. So the story goes on to detail where some of these things are
What
sold.
about the guns?
Well, they say the guns, those who are dealing these things have the guns to protect themselves and also to fight off anybody who may want to impede the activities. The other angle of the story talks about more junkies on the streets. Okay, so that's something the police need to...
Let me make a correction here. The government backs is 210 billion. Billion. Sorry for
million.
that. Not million. So it's a lot of money. 210 billion cedis as revenue since introduction of the government platform. So that's a bit. Now, if you go to the same paper, just to page 3 finally. Netco probes 3,000 illegal meters in Sunyani. This story is from Daniel Girasa in Sunyani. It says the Northern Electricity Distribution Company has uncovered more than 3,000. Hey!
That's crazy.
3,000. If you line them up, they will fill some place. You know, illegal meters being used in Sunya in the Bono region. This means that these meters are not captured in the system, so their owners are enjoying power free of charge, creating revenue shortfall for the company. Consequently, NEDCO has launched investigations into the matter to ascertain how the illegal meters were procured. It means that the people who work at NEDCO sell meters to people and they don't connect them to the grid. The Sunyani area manager of NEDCO, Eugene Ado Odoi, who disclosed this to the journalists on the sidelines of Stakeholders Forum held there in Sunyani, said the illegal meters, both prepaid and postpaid, were uncovered last year. Forum was organized at PURC with VRA NEDCO to address challenges confronting power distribution companies in the supply chain. And he explained that the use of illegal meters was adversely affecting the cash flow of the company. He could not tell how much revenue had been lost due to the use of illegal meters, but gave the assurance that the loss could be known after investigations currently going on.
Bernard, Save Ghana Football the motor hit Kumasi on February 23. A group story on citynewsroom.com, a group of sports journalists in the Ashanti region has announced plans to petition Asante Hinotum for 32 the second as part of a scheduled demonstration against what they term a decline in football in the country. This follows a similar action by sports journalists and enthusiasts in Accra earlier last week to register their displeasure over the abysmal performance of the Black Stars in the just ended 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. Now, Nathan, some pictures came up online last night. I don't know if you saw it, that the Aliu Mahama Stadium, they said there was a track.
Yeah, the stadium
they said they are going to use that thing for manure.
It's in a state of disrepair.
A lot of the
a couple of stories on politics. But I'm here to announce campaign team today. There seems to be a war of words around something Fifi said last week about Baumia, and then Nana Kumia is responding. I'm not sure I want to go into all of that. Abuja Napo is talking about Mohammed's 24 economy being a hoax. But let me go to the banks. Yes. Economy Times says the total value of secured loans granted and registered by universal banks to the private sector and households in the country during the fourth quarter of last year was 5.9 billion cedis.
Okay.
Relative to 13.2 billion in the fourth quarter of the previous year. Now, this is almost 55% decrease year on year. So that's a big trouble, right? So private sector lending is one of the indicators of potential economic growth. So if your banks are lending less to private sector, it means government is crowding them out, or the banks are simply not willing to lend. Banks accounted for 4.5 billion CD of total secured loans in Q4 of 2023, indicating a decline by 60% from the same period the year before. This indicates a general slowdown in credit growth in 2023, reflecting portfolio reallocation by banks. And then we also have specialized deposit institutions. They recorded a total of 1.4 billion secured loans in Q4 of last year, an increase of 53% from the previous year. So whilst the SDIs are doing better, the banks are not doing well. We don't know why in terms of giving loans. Maybe the debt exchange is part of it. Maybe there are other considerations like T-bills. But those are some of the issues.
Let me give you just a quick one that we end there. Europe is nervous about a potential Trump win. China sees an opportunity. Story says China's top diplomat Wang Yi had a message for his European counterparts over the weekend. No matter how the world changes, China will be consistent and stable, a force for stability. Now, the claim which Wang delivered during remarks at the Munich Security Conference on Saturday comes as European leaders are warily watching the upcoming United States elections, concerned that the potential return of former President Donald Trump could append their partnership with
John Trump.
Yes, with Washington. So
they are afraid of Trump.
Europe is concerned. China says they're rock solid.
I have a song for them. So stand by Shatawali.
Telling you, I know my life. Okay, I come like a guy.
This is the
Donald
Citi
Trump is coming
Breakfast
like
Show.
a guy.
I tell you.